Okay, I have to admit it, I'm part of the problem. Every time there's a new anime about an MMO style isekai, I end up watching a few episodes. Most of the time, I drop the anime and never speak of it again. So often, MMO anime have the same issues: bland OP main character, a harem of girls who fawn over said bland OP main character, overly dramatic stakes. But every so often, a new anime comes out that takes my expectations and, well, rises above them. Welcome to Bofuri, I don't want to get hurt so I'll max out my defense. Also known as, I hate being in pain so I think I'll make a full defense build, I hate getting hurt so I put all my skill points into defense. Yeah, I don't know why the title is so goddamn long. Bofuri came out of nowhere for me. It barely got any mentions prior to the winter 2020 season, but it's now one of the shows I look forward to most. I don't think the show is a masterpiece by any means, but I think it's definitely worth watching. Bofuri has a lot of the same old isekai formula. We have the isekai world that the characters are in, we've got the RPG fantasy elements, we have a ridiculously OP main character, we have waifus, and of course we have lollies. Yet Bofuri puts a little spin on the things we've come to expect. The main character is undoubtedly OP, yet she's not calculated about it. She isn't a Shiro type where she understands the system and knows how to min-max. She isn't Tatsuya from Mahoka where she's some naturally gifted god. She's just kind of a derp who stumbles from one massively OP power to the next. Normally, in typical shonens, power progression is a hot topic. Honestly, power progression in shonen could probably be its own video. It can feel really cheap for characters to suddenly power up when they need to when handling the next big boss. The pacing of the whole series can start to get robotic when there's a big bad guy and the protagonist has to learn a new skill to take down the enemy until the next big bad guy shows up. It's even worse when the new skill basically just amounts to, oh, now I hit harder or something. It doesn't change the perspective of the main character, they're just doing the same thing but changing the scale. Well, let me tell ya, in Bofuri, power-ups are absolutely insane and unpredictable. Without going into spoilers, the main character Maple goes through several transformations, each as unpredictable as the last. You might ask, wait, isn't that kind of lame that she just gets stronger without any rhyme or reason? In most shows, I'd probably agree, but there aren't any stakes in Bofuri. Maple isn't out there trying to save the world, there aren't really any big bads that she's trying to take down. She doesn't even really have a rival to compete with. In standard shonen, power-ups are always in reference to the greater plot. Usually characters need the power-up to take on the next villain. But in Bofuri, she powers up because, well, she just kind of stumbles into a new power. Whenever she gains a new power, I'm not really concerned about if it feels cheap or how it feels in context to the villain or whatever. In Bofuri, it's just pure awe. You just accept the broken world that they've created and it just feels like good dumb fun. Bofuri doesn't take itself too seriously and the anime is pretty self-aware about how ridiculous Maple is. You have her best friend who is a real gamer girl, who is the analytical counterpart to the derp that is Maple. She's the one who introduces Maple to the game and has experience playing these types of games. Her build in game is one that she's sought out for herself, unlike Maple and her build. In general, most of the characters in Bofuri have an understanding of the game and their role in it, just like you'd expect out of reasonable, rational players of the game. This makes them a perfect foil to Maple and sets them up to react and comment about how exactly ridiculously OP Maple is.
ついに人間をやめたのか。
やめたな。間違いない。
もうメープルの行動は気にしても仕方ないみたいね。
Every once in a while, even the devs themselves get a word in about how she's continually breaking the game.
禁欲がやられた。
禁欲？あいつはプレイヤーが倒せるような設定じゃないだろ。ありえねえ。メープルに取られるなんて。
仕事がまた増えるな。
The episodes also end in an internet forum where people comment about how they feel about Maple and her exploits. You feel like you're part of the world, witnessing the insanity that is happening. This sets the tone for the whole show. The show isn't meant to be taken seriously. There's tons of things that don't make sense, but that's okay. It reminds me a lot of SAO alternative GGO in that way.
リアルの僕も本当に死んでしまうんです。
ソードアートオンラインじゃないんだから。
The MMO they play in Bofuri is called New World Online. Yeah, they really stretched themselves for a creative name there. But it's one of the key things I enjoy about Bofuri. The systems the characters come across in New World Online accentuate the idea of exploration and discovery. In New World Online, you can gain skills in the traditional way of leveling stats and taking quests, but you can also gain skills based off the actions you take in the game. The idea is that if you do something for a long time, you get better at that thing in the game, but you might also pick up a special bonus. An example might be if you swam for a while, you'd gain a skill that lets you breathe underwater. This is the crux of how Maple comes across her wacky powers. She just kind of does things in a way you wouldn't expect, and as a result, stumbles her way into abilities that you wouldn't expect.
もしかしてまたなんかやった？それじゃあ第3層に向かおう！
The fantasy of playing a game like New World Order, where you can actually explore and be surprised by something, whether it's a new enemy, ability, or item, is so real to me. The main issue is that in the modern era of the internet, video games are optimized by a lot of people. Anytime a new patch is announced for any game, people are quick to solve the patch, to discover the most OP strategy, figure out the most optimized way to do X and Y, to be the best you can be with the least time invested. The sense of exploration and immersion is really just reserved for those who can actively keep their head in the sand. Okay, this might be a boomer statement, but I kind of miss the early internet days where info was more scarce in context of video games. People had to discover things on their own and relied mainly on hearsay for help. It was even funnier when people came up with rumors of glitches and bugs that didn't even exist. I remember when the first generation of Pokemon was out, people came up with all sorts of stories of ways to catch Mew involving the truck behind the SS and trying it myself only to be disappointed. Of course, years later, people actually did find a way to catch Mew using Missing No, funny enough. The problem is that most games these days don't really reward exploration as much, especially in an MMO. Most of the time, the leveling process is mainly a chore, and the majority of the content lies in grinding the endgame. There isn't as much incentive to explore and smell the roses. In Bofuri, however, there's this idea that you can come across something unknown, unexpected, unique, and powerful through exploration and trying something new. To me, that's way more exciting than grinding the same boss for a 1% drop rate where you learn its patterns to the point where you can basically have a bot do the work for you. Now, I have no idea if a game could actually function like this and be balanced, but the fantasy of that kind of game is so cool to me. It's kind of why I end up watching MMO-based anime over and over despite being disappointed over and over. I guess the question is, why do I care so much about MMOs? Especially when most MMOs are mediocre at best and the anime about them range from complete trash to being passable. Well, I don't really know how to explain this besides saying that there's a whole generation of video game nerds who grew up on the idea of living a life outside their own. MMOs are such a perfect place for doing that. RuneScape, World of Warcraft, and so many other games gave nerds like us a place to live in a world on completely different terms than the real world. More than anything, these games gave us a sense of exploration and progress that are honestly really difficult to find in the real world. I know a ton of friends who are praying for the next MMO to take the world by storm. I used to hop around from one MMO to the next, hoping for one to really stick. Even now, I still hope a new MMO can bring life to the genre, but the core of the problem is still there. I think this is the reason why these MMO-based anime are so enticing to me. While I may not personally be able to live the fantasy of playing an MMO where I feel immersed, I can watch anime like Bofuri to live vicariously through them. To sum it up, Bofuri may not be the best anime of all time, but it does a lot surprisingly well. If you like action, MMOs, power scaling, even just cute girls doing cute things, I think you'll really enjoy Bofuri just like I did. It isn't dramatic, there isn't a deeper message, it's just fun. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to do more of this type of video where I just kind of just sum up my feelings about why I liked a certain anime. I hope you guys have all been safe during all this coronavirus stuff that is going on. But yeah, if there's any other shows that you'd like to get my opinion on or whatever, leave them in the comments below, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hopefully see you guys in the next video. I'm thinking about making the next one about potentially either Beastars or JoJo when I finally finish part 5. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have been safe and healthy, and catch you guys in the next video. Peace!